Hey everybody, it's Jim, and you are watching Talking Decades Vendor Corner, brought to you by Decades Reclaim Vintage Depot. We're located at 502 West Brennan Road, Lakeland, Florida, 33813. We started this YouTube channel years ago, actually, and we used to put our weekly shows that we do for Facebook called Talking Vintage. We would take those and then we would move them over to YouTube, and then we trimmed those shows down. Because they were for our local audience and not necessarily vendors. We changed it up a little bit, and then we created Vendor Corner, this show, to talk to people who are vendors in stores like Decades Reclaim Vintage Depot. So that's what the show is for. I don't really have it all planned out today. I thought I would just wing it. It's been a while since I've done a show. We've been very busy this weekend. Or this summer, actually. We've been super busy this summer. I know a lot of places, their business slows way down in the summer, but here at Decades, we've had an extremely busy summer. August, which is normally a very low month for us, was just a killer month. I wish I could tell you exactly why, but it's real hard to pinpoint it. I think a lot of it had to do with social media, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But I thought I would just take some time and go through some social media posts and talk about what people are talking about out there. And the first post I saw was somebody who was new. They were in the shop and they weren't quite making it yet. So they asked, and this is a common question on all the groups on social media that deal with being a vendor or a booth owner, or however you want to put it, in a mall or a shop like Decades. They want to know what's hot and what's selling. Well, really, I think that it's regional, and I don't think there's any one thing anymore that's selling. Here at Decades, we sell across the board. We have trends. For example, milk glass. It used to be really, really killer, and everybody could sell it, and then it kind of died off. Well, for us, it's trending back, and we sell a lot of milk glass bud vases, and things like that. Things that we, used to think couldn't sell anymore. They're kind of coming back. We're selling a lot of holiday right now. So I think it's just regional. We're in Central Florida, but I think it's regional. I don't think there's any one thing that I could put my finger on and say, well, that's really selling. So it's real hard to tell people when you see posts like this what's selling. So here at Decades, if you had to ask me what was trending right now, I would say, well, holiday is trending. Blind date with a book, we're selling a few of those. We sell a lot of jewelry in jewelry jars, whether they be broken pieces and sold for repurpose, or whether they're just bunched up vintage or costume type jewelry and put in the jars. We sell a lot of those. So for those of you out there looking for something, I'm not sure it would sell in your shop, but there's a few things. All right, let's keep going along here. And somebody asked about mystery bags or boxes. We sell a few here. I think I'm the primary person that sells those. And basically what I do is I take smaller items and I put them in a mystery bag, and my mystery bags sell for $5. I try to make sure that the value of the items that are in there is well above $5. I want people to feel good when they buy them, and it's stuff that is tedious to tag, would get lost in the shop because it's small. So that's what I do. That's how I run my mystery bags. All right, let's see what we can find next. Somebody asked for ideas to create more traffic in your shop. And the number one thing is your ideas can be there, and they can, like here at Decades, currently we're having our Red Hot Summer Day sale, and we have 100% participation from all the booth owners in the shop, where everything in the shop is on sale. And that is the kind of the hook on that one. And then we have coming up this weekend, in fact, we have our Pokemon and comic sale, where Pokemon comics are 50% off. And then for October, we're planning a yard sale for items that we can't sell in the shop. We're having a yard sale in part of our parking lot. So we do things like that. But the biggest thing is it doesn't matter really what your idea is. You've got to get it out there. And I said in the beginning I was going to talk about social media. Well, here I go. Social media, you got to get the word out that you're going to do these things. So here at Decades, there's primarily two of us that do the social media. One of us does regular posts, and the other one does videos. That's me. Does the videos and the reels and the stories and things like that. And we just blast it out there. I can't tell you that the one thing works better than others. You know, it's really, we just kind of throw it onto the wall, and whatever sticks. But we found out that it's real hard to pinpoint what works. So instead of trying to narrow down the work we do and spending a ton of time, a ton of work trying to figure that out, we just kind of blast it out there. So she will do posts for the event, and she'll put them up on even hours. And then I have the odd hours to do whatever I want, whether it be a video or a reel, or I manipulate the stories or whatever. So we put it up that way. And we're not just using Facebook, we're using TikTok. We're not sure what we're doing on TikTok, but we're using TikTok. We do have our website. We do have a newsletter that goes out. So we're trying to cross all the boundaries that can. Of course, Instagram. Facebook goes with Instagram, and Instagram goes with Facebook. So whatever we do on Facebook shows up on Instagram. We try to do a few things specifically for Instagram and a few things specifically for Facebook. Kind of like the show I was telling you about, Talking Vintage, originally started on Facebook, and now it's just reruns on YouTube. And we of course we do this show, Vendor Corner, and this gets us a little exposure to people who are vendors that may be in the area, and they'll stop by the shop. But yeah, so your ideas to bring traffic in are great, whatever they be. Somebody said have a color day where you put, color in your booth, a certain color or whatever. And that's all great, and it's fantastic, but you have to spread the word out that you're doing that. You have to get it out there. And so again, here at Decades, we have two people that do it, but we ask our vendors to help out too. Each of them is a booth owner, so they own their own little business inside this big business, kind of like a mall does. You have the old classic malls where there's different stores in the mall, and they're all responsible for advertising their own, and then the mall advertises everybody. So that's kind of how it works here at Decades. We advertise everybody, and then we hope that our vendors will advertise themselves, and then in turn advertise Decades. So I think, I told you in the beginning that our last month, August, was super good for us, and just exceptionally over the top from last year. And I think a lot of that had to do with social media, and I think a lot of it had to do with our vendors, because we've been asking a lot lately through the summer. We've been saying, hey, can you help? Can you help? Can you put some posts up? Can you advertise yourself? And we're hoping that helps us out. So I think it really did last month. So there you go. I mean, you could come up with great ideas, but unless you get the word out, people aren't going to show up. We found that the yard sales work really good for us here because of the signage. We can put signage out on the main road, and it brings people in because it's a yard sale. So we got tons of people that drive, and they see those signs, and the county doesn't take them away because we only put them out there for that day. So it's just like every other yard sale. As long as you put them out and take them away, the county usually doesn't mess with them. So yeah. Let's go on. Let's see what else we can find. But there was a lot of great ideas in this post, and about things that people could do. Hang on just a second. We're closed today.
We just made an hour's trip.
Oh, well, come on in and look around. Yep, I don't have all the lights on. There's areas that, but come on in and take a look around. Yep. Sorry about that. I had a customer coming into the shop. So we're going to let them walk around, and let me see if I can find another post here. All right, here's a comment. Somebody's asking about printed stickered tags. Well, I use some of them. I have the little Nimbot here, and I use that in order to print some of my tags. But I'm only going to do it, and I'm only going to use those stickered tags on items that it's not going to hurt. I would never put it on a piece of wood. But again, like I told you before, we have a comic, a Pokemon sale. I'll put them on the back of a comic, easy, on the bag itself. It's not going to hurt the comic, but I probably wouldn't put them on many of my other stuff. I only put it on items that are multiple items, like comics, where I have a ton of comics that I'm selling, and then I'll utilize those stickers. But otherwise, here at Decades, we try to return the tags to everybody so they have a way to keep inventory. They get a report of what they've sold every month, but they want their tags back. We do it as a courtesy. We return them. We don't live and die by the tags, but if they've got a sticker on it, there's no way we can get it off. So if the sticker is on an item, we just generally leave it there. But I wouldn't recommend using stickers on older pieces where it could damage them. I think of like an old game or a very old puzzle, and you put it on the cardboard box, and then the person working the counter rips it off and tears half of the picture off the box and things like that, and it'll damage wood too. So it's probably just not a great idea to use. All right. See what else we can find here. Well, somebody's back asking about shelves. That's an interesting subject there. We have shelves here at Decades Reclaimed Vintage Depot, and we have vendors that do very, very well on shelves. And then we have other vendors that don't do so well on shelves. We have some vendors that take a shelf in order to get their foot in the door so that they're next in line to get a booth. But like I said, we do have a few vendors that are just on shelves. That's all they want, and they do very well. The key to the shelves is the ones that are successful are constantly changing the content, what they have on the shelves. We have a few of them that will come in with, maybe they have 2 shelves. They'll come in with stock, an entire reload of stock for those shelves. So they take everything off, they're putting brand new stuff on, and those that change it, maybe not to that extreme, but change it constantly, or constantly putting new stuff on, constantly taking stuff off, they do really well. The others that just come in with their initial stock outlay that they put on the shelves and they don't sell well, continue to not sell well because they're not changing anything. Maybe they sell 1-2 pieces, they put 1-2 new pieces on. It's so limited in the space that you have when you have a shelf. You've constantly got to change it. My suggestion is to people who have shelves is that you have an initial stock that you put on the shelves, and then you have a complete restock that you put on shelves, and then you work on another restock to put on shelves, and you're constantly changing it. The worst thing that can happen is that somebody comes in and they see an item on your shelf, and then they don't purchase it that day, and they go away and they come back, and you've changed your whole entire stock, and that item isn't there. They'll ask, well, did that person change? Or are they gone? And we'll say, no, they're still here. They just restocked. And they'll say, well, I was interested in this. And then, we would let the vendor know, hey, they were interested in this, and then maybe they'll bring that piece back out of their old stock and put it on the shelf for that customer that comes in. So you can do it with shelves. It's not impossible. We've had very, very successful people on shelves, but it's the limited amount of space and the fact that they change constantly. They're constantly changing it. If they don't, you can say they're just not. They're not going to sell as much. So, all right. Try to see if there's anything else here. Oh, location. Here we go. This is a good one, and this will be my last topic for this show, and we'll finish up with this. People talk about location all the time, whether it be, oh, I have the best booth because it's right inside the door as people walk in, and then, well, I don't do well because my booth is all the way in the back, and they blame their shortcomings of not making money on the location of their booth or their location of their shelf. And I think there's some truth to that. I think the booths that are closer to the door maybe do better because they're the first thing that people see when they walk in. But I don't think there's any bad booths. I don't think there's any bad locations, at least not in our store. one of the top sellers month in and month out is the furthest thing away from the front door. The furthest thing. She's the furthest vendor away, and she kills it month after month. She's constantly bringing stock in. She's constantly moving stock around, and it's really, I think it's what you have and what you do to what you have that makes it successful. But we hear that a lot. I don't like where my shelf is. I don't think I do good. And you really want to be honest with them and say, well, don't you think it's because you have the same items on that shelf that you've had for the past 2 months and you haven't brought anything new in, you haven't taken anything out? You don't think that's the reason? And you really want to be honest with them, but you say, well, why don't you try to move stuff around, do it better. But yeah, so we hear that a lot. My booth is in a bad location, and knowing the numbers of what people make, I really want to go, well, you know what? You're surrounded by people who make thousands of dollars each month. We have one row, we kiddingly call it $1,000 row, where it's a row of booths that starts in the front of the shop and ends in the back of the shop, and everybody in that row generally makes over $1,000 in sales every month. And then the one person that's in there is complaining that their booth is not in a good spot. You really want to say that, but we don't want to discourage them by saying that. I really wish sometimes I could say that. I just feel it would hurt their feelings, but we say, no, it's not your booth location. Maybe it's what you have. So yeah, I hear that a lot. I don't think it, at least here at Decades, there is no bad location. There's no bad booth. There's no bad shelves. It's just what they do with the location and the space that they have. So that's it. You've been watching Vendor Corner. My name is Jim. I'm your host. I come to you from Decades Reclaimed Vintage Depot. We're located in Central Florida, specifically at 502 West Brennan Road, Lakeland, Florida, 33813. If you're ever in the area, reach out to us. Let us know you're going to stop by. Currently, we're closed for our summer months on Monday and Tuesday, but we're open Wednesday, Thursday, and Sunday, 10 to 3, Friday and Saturday, 10 to 5. We would love to have you come in. I would love it if a vendor or a shop owner from another shop, maybe out of state, wherever, were visiting in the area and was going to stop by and had a little time. I would love to have a guest on my show here at Decades. So if that's you and you're going to be around, then let me know. Yeah, reach out to me and let me know you're going to be around. We'll do a whole show around you, and I'll ask you a bunch of questions. It'll be really cool. So that's it. You've been watching Vendor Corner. Thanks a lot. We'll see you again soon.